today, but I do want to mention that we are recording them and they are on our website. I know that last week's one, it took us a while to get it on, but it's on there. Okay, in case people missed it or anything. Okay, I'm going to begin by doing the reading today from Each Day in the Beginning, the daily meditation book for women. And I picked tomorrow. Tomorrow's kind of a special day for me because July 16th is the feast of Our Lady Mount Carmel, my childhood church, and also was the day I made my transfer out of the priesthood. I picked that on purpose. So it's kind of an anniversary for me tomorrow. Okay, July 16th. I have come to believe in the sacrament of the moment, which presupposes trust in the ultimate goodness of our Creator. The moment realized is like a bud blossoming. The day unfolds with each minute we are moved along, and the experience is right for us at this place and this time. Our resistance to certain experiences and particular people creates the barrier that blocks the good in store for us. We can rest assured our higher power is caring for us. Each breath we take is spirit-filled. And the plan for our lives is the accumulation of necessary experiences that are helping us to grow and develop our special talents. What we often forget is that the difficult periods of our lives stretch us, enlighten us, ready us to be the people we desire within to be. Every moment is sacred. All moments are sacred. They will not come again. What is offered this moment for us to grow on will not be offered in exactly this way again. Our higher power knows our needs and is caring for them. We can trust the goodness of this day today. Whatever situation I encounter today, I believe in its goodness. It is right for me. It may stretch my patience under that illicit laughter, but it is right for me at this time. I like that. I got tested already today because when I turned the computer on, the computer decided to update itself. So it was God giving me kind of a test in patience and endurance how to hang in there and make Loretta nervous too. So the fun part about all this is I want to do something today to kind of bring a conclusion to the first 5 lectures in the series. The first 5 lectures were really kind of explaining what codependency is. And then starting next week, I'm going to do 4 lectures on the recovery process from codependency. But today I'm going to talk about the roles that codependents play. I don't think we realize this. It took me a long time to get it into my own head that so many times in life, we're actually programmed into certain levels. And everything that we do goes back to those early years. And I also want to remind people too, when I talk about these roles, they were programmed into us, not just by our family of origin, but also by the other families I mention all the time. Neighborhood, environment, culture, religion, and our peers, our history. All these things kind of make up who we are. But we have basically over the years, in order to get through life, we developed what I call survivor techniques. So I'm going to share with you today what I call the 6 major roles of codependency. And these roles are basic to all of us. But even though there's 6 roles, they're in 3 categories. But believe it or not, some of them are exactly the same. The first category we'll talk about today is referred to as the chemically dependent type individual or the addict and the chief enabler. Now, believe it or not, both these roles are very similar. They're about a major word, and the word is control. And basically, the addict, very basically, lives a lifestyle that basically wants everything right away. It's a control atmosphere. And so the addict very many times, to cover up a lot of stuff we can't handle or deal with, because deep down inside we're spiritually dead, we tend to go to an addiction to fill the void. And that addiction can have many faces, as we all talked about before. The chief enabler, on the other hand, is always trying to fix the addict. So the chief enabler is actually addicted to the addict. So they both have an addiction, but the addiction plays a role with each one of them. And most of us have a tendency to get into this role because chief enablers have this tendency to want to make something happen that maybe can't happen. I share in my own life so many times I've tried to save addicts and save people and try to straighten people out. And I had to realize after a while, the only person I can really work on is me. It's hard because so many times we see what we think we should see, but basically we have to learn. I learned it from AA to carry the message, not the drunk, to look at things in a positive way, and to realize the fact I can only do what I can do. But chief enablers are scary. See, the addict at least takes a day off. And I joke about this today. They get high, they get drunk, and they forget about it for a while, even though they create a lot of craziness in part of it. The chief enabler is on duty 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, has anxiety attacks and everything else, because they're trying to make something happen and trying to force it to happen, and it doesn't work. So it's almost like these two roles play off of each other. They have a tendency to beat each other up. They have a tendency to use one another. I use an example of this, and a gentleman I work with, and I still work with him today. In fact, I was on the phone with him this morning. But I always love sharing his story. When he was in his active addiction, him and his mother played these two roles. He was a severe drug addict and alcoholic, and his mother basically spent all of her time trying to fix him and take care of him. They were like oil and water in a lot of ways. His mother very many times would try to do all things for him, like she paid his rent, used to bring groceries over to his house, basically do everything for him. He, on the other hand, would basically scream at her, yell at her, call her names, and even one time threw a brick through her window when he was high and basically told her to stay away from him. So the two of them lived a life of insanity for a long period of time. Somehow, some way, he ended up joining the Army. How he got in, I have no idea, but he got in. And he was over in Vietnam, and while he was in Vietnam, he got a notice that his mother had died. Now, his mother basically was kind of his nemesis or his addiction, and she was his. So when he found out his mother had died, his response, because he was still in his addiction, was, good riddance to the old bitch. And so literally, finally, and thank God, when he came home, he got into recovery, his life changed. And later on in life, I worked very hard with him to help him make amends to his mom and try to straighten the situation out. But his mother went to her deathbed, giving everything, even to bankrupt herself, to the addict. And so what I'm trying to bring out is these are very similar roles. And codependents have a tendency to play it. The addict, the core of his addiction is codependency, because literally he's so codependent on the addiction to run away from looking at himself. The chief enabler is addicted to the addict. That becomes their addiction, and their life is centered around that person to a point where their life becomes unmanageable. The second series of roles that codependents play are the hero and the scapegoat, the family hero or the family scapegoat. Both these roles fundamentally are based on the concept of attention. See, when you don't have an identity and know who you really are, you have a tendency very many times to slide into these roles, because these roles give you an identity. I can share this in my own life. And I also realize the fact that many of us migrate from one role to the other at different times in the course of our journey, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the family hero is that one person in the family that always comes through, that is always available, that literally always has to be on duty. It's very difficult to be a hero, because it means you have to be on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have to always be on. It's a problem with heroes, though. When they die, we put statues up to them. Now, heroes are always up on a pedestal, but it's difficult when you're on a pedestal to go to the bathroom. So the concept is heroes have to almost be non-human. As a result, then I joke about heroes a lot of times because they get a lot of attention, and know something about attention. In our society, the newspaper likes heroes and likes scapegoats. Doesn't like normal everyday people. Doesn't like balance. It looks for the story, the concept of it. And the hero is someone that totally devotes the whole entire life to either rescuing or saving or being on duty. And again, I'm going to relate to this in my own life because my mother, in planning the priesthood for me, I became the Italian family hero, which meant I did every baptism, every wedding, every funeral, everything based on the family. And the family had me up on such a high pedestal, it was unbelievable. When I left the priesthood, within a matter of one day, I went from hero to goat. And all of a sudden, nobody liked me anymore. All of a sudden, they won't even talk to me. You know, I joke about this today, but when I was a hero, I did all the funerals. When I was a goat, I checked the obituary column to see if somebody in my family died. Nobody would talk to me. So it's almost like the scary thing about being a hero is you always have to be on. If you ever make a mistake, you can go very easily from one side to the other side. There's those extremes that we talk about all the time. So heroes get all their attention from doing things for other people. They get all their attention by constantly always performing. And it's tough to be a hero because literally you have no life of your own. I joke about heroes because they live next to telephone booths. Somebody needs them, they can real fast make a quick change, the red light goes off and out they come. They're always there, they're always available, and sometimes they really are what I have a nickname, I call them the codependent crazies. Because your life is centralized around all that insanity and all that craziness. Now, the family scapegoat is the individual that's always getting into trouble. They're the one in the family, they're the unwanted pregnancies, all kinds of situations, but they get all their attention from being in trouble. I use an example of this. Years ago when I was at Charter Fairmont Hospital in Philadelphia, and I used to do the adolescent program. And when I ran the adolescent program, I did the family education program. And I had people who would come to it all the time. I remember this one lady, never forget it. She would be there, see, with the adolescents, she would come visit them every night. She was there every night of the week. She would be there visiting her daughter, who was 16 years old. I said to her one day, I said, do you have any other children? She said, yeah. She said, I've got 2 other girls, but you have to worry about them. They're excellent, they're wonderful, they're fantastic, they get good marks, everything's wonderful, everything's great. I don't even know they're around. I said to her, do me a favor, will you? Do yourself a favor. Come and visit your daughter once a week. Go spend a lot of time with your other 2 daughters because you're giving a message. If you want mommy's total attention, get in trouble. And so many times in life, so many of us also get into the concept of being what I call a professional patient, which means that I have this drive inside of me to always want somebody to be there for me. And as a result, if I act out, then you pay attention to me. I remember one time, you know, this lady called me up and she said, I don't get it, she said. The only time I ever see my son is when he gets in trouble. As soon as he gets in trouble, I'm the first person that he calls. And I'm getting tired of it, she said. But you know, I understand he needs a lot of help and all this kind of stuff and everything else. I said to her, well, you know what? Maybe one time, don't. Let him go through what he's got to go through. Let him go through his own struggles. And she said, oh, I can't do that. But see, what happens a lot of times is we get used to these roles after a while. And so I want attention, pay attention to me. Let me cause a problem. Then you'll pay attention to me. Let me be really sick, then you'll pay attention to me. You know, I realize this now with my own mom. My mom was a hypochondriac. She was a compulsive overeater, and she was a drug addict. And I realize now my mom, very many times, got all of her attention by constantly acting out. She was always wanting to go to doctors. She was always wanting everybody to pay attention to her. Because I realize now it's something she needed very desperately. And yet her control issues came out in that too. And so I realized these 2 roles are very scary. Because if you're a hero, you're at the top of the pile. And a goat, you're at the bottom of the pile. But it's so easy to go from one to the other. So many goats don't realize it, They get into recovery, they change their life, and all of a sudden they're thrown into the other side. Then the family likes them. I always got nervous sometimes when I see articles in the Courier Post or in the Philadelphia Inquirer where they take somebody that's early recovery, somebody who has maybe 9 months, 8 months in recovery, and they do a feature story on them in the paper about their recovery. Now, they just went from one crazy area of their life and are now thrown into the limelight. There's a lot of pressure because now you better stay in recovery because everybody out there knows you're in recovery and everybody out there basically has expectations of you now. And that's why I've learned over and over again, I got tired of being a hero. I got tired of being always the person people needed. And I'm learning how to have a life today. And so many times we have to learn these two roles are things we migrate into to be able to get through life. The last two areas are the lost child and the mascot. Now, the lost child is an individual that just drifts and floats through life. They have no identity. They have no idea where they belong. They're very dependent on somebody else telling them who they are. They're very dependent on other individuals doing it for them. One of my favorite movies, some of the older people in here probably saw it a long time ago. You know what I mean, Wayne. But a long time ago, there was a movie called Marty. And Marty went like this. Marty would walk along and they say to Marty, "What do you want to do today, Marty? Whatever you want to do. Where do you want to go? Wherever you want to go. What do you want to eat? Whatever you want to eat." What Marty basically is saying is, I don't want to make any decisions. You make them for me. But see, a lost child is very convenient because I can just kind of drift and flow through life and let you make all the decisions for me, somebody else. But then if it doesn't work, I can blame you. Isn't it wonderful? What a life. So if it doesn't work out, I got somebody to blame because you told me to do it. The lost children, they're sad. They really are. And they kind of live in fear a lot of times. Because literally, they're just kind of living. They don't even know they're living a lot of times, too. They just kind of go. The other side of the lost child is the mascot. Now, the mascot really is what I refer to as an aggressive lost child. We all know these individuals. These are people that need constant attention. They're very dependent, especially in relationships. They're the ones that are always saying, "Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me?" And five minutes later, "Do you still love me? Do you still love me? Do you still love me?" And after a while, what you want to do is smack them a few times and make you crazy. They're always exhibitionists. They're the ones at parties who stand on top of the piano and dance. They're the ones that always need attention. But they're saying the same thing as the lost child. They're saying, please take care of me. Please live my life for me. Please do everything for me because I'm scared. See, this is all about fear. Fear of the unknown. It's all about fear because I'm scared to death to have to really take a look at myself and work with myself on the inside. And so I can play the role because the role gets me through life. And I can relate to this in a lot of ways. I'll kind of show you what I mean. Because I can relate to all 6 of them, to be honest with you. And people ask me that question all the time, can you be a little bit of each? Yeah. When I was a kid growing up in my early childhood, I was the lost child. I had no idea who I was. My mother basically defined who I was. She defined my identity. She defined what I was going to be. And as a good lost child, I just kind of fell into line. I wanted to make her happy, people-pleasing stuff. So whatever she wanted, I did. And so I thought this was supposed to be what I was supposed to do. Because she's the adult, I'm the kid, so you follow the ball game. And then everybody else kind of fit into that too. I even joke about it today. When I was in grammar school, I was never really what you would call a great student. I was kind of a C, maybe a C+ student throughout grammar school. In the 8th grade, they talked me into taking the test for the seminary to go in the priesthood. They didn't really talk me into it because my mom decided I was taking the test. But the bottom line was I passed it. And I found it very interesting. As soon as I passed the test to go in the seminary, I was an A student. Overnight. It's totally amazing, isn't it? because all of a sudden sister liked me because now I was another hero. And so all of a sudden, I got all this attention from everybody. So I went from the lost child right into the hero role and the expectation role. And then basically I was scared half out of my mind. So basically I just played the roles. And in the seminary, I had no identity either. And so basically I just kind of fell into that lost child identity role. But I learned in the seminary how to get attention. So the mascot came into place. So in the seminary, I volunteered for everything. I was in charge of everything. I ran everything. Because basically people liked me. They liked me because I did everything for them. Basically, I even ran my own business while I was in the seminary. You know, priests wear those long gowns, you know, that they're called cassocks, you know, that looks like a dress. Well, I used to actually sell them for Renzetti's in Philadelphia while I was in the seminary, and I used to make money. And so I learned how to be, you know, kind of a little bit of a con artist while I was in the seminary. And so all my hero skills and my scapegoat skills, all that stuff started coming out because I had no idea who I was. So literally, I was using these roles to survive in. Then the scapegoat role came in really nice because I could really get people to feel sorry for me, do things for me. I became a really good con artist. It was totally amazing. I used the seminary as a way to survive and make money. And as a result, then, I literally used this as a way to get through life. I realized today that literally my addictions were active, although I hadn't dealt with any of them. And so literally in the seminary, I was using a place to hide. I was playing the role of the enabler because they taught me in the seminary. You must be all things to all people every day of your life. You know how sick that is? I have to be everything to everybody every day of my life. And so when I got ordained, I was thrown right into the hero role, the survivor role. And as a result, I began to drive myself crazy doing everything for everybody. Now, I'm grateful today because I think back, and I shared this with you before, to 1969, when I went to my first 12-step meeting, which was Al-Anon. The people at Al-Anon kept telling me, they told me that basically I needed to work on me. And I couldn't understand what they were talking about. Because I went there because I had a pastor who had an alcohol problem, who I wanted them to teach me how to fix him and how to save him. But they never gave me the formula. They kept telling me to work on me. In 72, when I had a nervous breakdown, I was in a psychiatric hospital. The doctor in the hospital told me that I was spiritually dead. I had no idea who I was, no sense of myself at all. And I couldn't fathom what he was talking about because I was a priest. How could I be spiritually dead? Yet in reality, I was playing a role. And I realized today it took a lot of time and a lot of insanity and a lot of craziness to get me to that point where I finally learned what he was talking about. I learned that my real spirit, who I am as a person, did not exist. And so literally I was playing all these roles. I was involved in them because I was helping to fix people and take care of people. God, I was the enabler of the century when I was a priest. Good God, I would take you into treatment whether you want to go or not. In fact, I beat you down until I got you there. Of course, in those days, a little bit different too, because we could tie you up and take you to treatment back then. We can't do that today, though. Remember that, Ron, we can't do that today. But the bottom line is we had a lot of fun back then. We did a lot of crazy things. But I realized I was like playing this big game. I had no idea who I was at all. Now, I'm grateful today to the people in my life that helped me to turn a corner. And that's why I get excited about the second half of these talks on codependency, that I'm going to go through what I call the 6 stages of recovery. And to me, those 6 stages turned my life around and saved my life. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to spend all that time on them and kind of show them to you. But the bottom line is I had to realize something. I had no idea who I was. I had no sense of myself at all. And the hardest part was learning how to build a relationship with myself as a person. The hardest part was trying to sit down and take a look at who I was and to get honest with it. You know, I'm very, very grateful today in a lot of ways First of all, I'm grateful for the people who had enough guts and courage to help me through this transition. Secondly, I'm grateful to the 12 steps of our program. As I told you many times, I really believe that the founders in putting this program together didn't truly understand it. I think that very many times they basically were putting together a program so they could stay sober. But really, they're putting together a beautiful, beautiful philosophy of life. And it took me a long time to understand that you got to do your work. And I joke about it today because for a long period of time, I was in recovery, but not in recovery. And Wayne knows what I'm talking about. I was a two-stepper back then. And two-steppers are sick people. I did the first step, then I decided I didn't need those 10 steps in between. That was a lot of work. I'll just jump right to the 12th step and go save the world and kill yourself in the process. I'm very grateful today to my OA program, to my eating disorder recovery program. I'm grateful to the people that had the courage to work with me. I'm grateful I can look at things today through a different set of eyes. But above all, I'm very grateful for the gift of the 12 steps. And I can say this in all sincerity today. Even though I studied theology, I have degrees after my name. The greatest gift, spiritual gift I've experienced on the face of this earth is the gift of these powerful 12 steps. They are truly a gift. I'm learning today not to take them for granted. I'm learning to respect them. And I know at any moment I can fall back into any one of those roles. Because my codependency every once in a while comes out of the closet and makes me a little crazy. That's why when I look at those roles, I call them the codependent crazies. Because literally so many times I get caught back up into it again. I want to fix somebody or save somebody. I got to back off. I got to work on me. I have to realize the fact that I have to be able to stay connected, be around people that will help me with that. And I'm so grateful today to the people that have come into my life to help me to take a different look at myself today, to see things differently. And so I get excited about this because I realize that sometimes in life you got to play these roles till you get tired of playing them. And yet almost sometimes you got to burn out. You know, I've talked to Loretta about this. I literally have burnt out in many ways. So I had to change the ways in which I deal with things. And the beautiful part about that is it's almost like you have to kind of, I use the term, go through hell to get to heaven. You know, sometimes you got to beat yourself up. And I was looking at the first 44 years of my life as my journey through hell, my journey through insanity. And I'm so grateful today for what I call the second half of my life, to be able to go in a totally different direction, even though I had all the information back then. Information doesn't do it, though, I'm sorry. It's being able to look within the mirror and celebrate who you are and be able to see the gift of yourself as a person. And why I love the 12 steps so much, the way they were set up, the first 11 steps are for us to work on ourselves. And it says, having had a spiritual awakening, having done your work, then carry a message to another sick person. It doesn't say carry the person, it says carry a message. I'll tell you a funny story. I was doing my internship training way back in 1977 at a rehab in Philadelphia called DRC, Diagnostic Rehabilitation Center. It's a rehab for street people. And basically, I was a young person studying to become a therapist. And, you know, I had the world by the tail, so I thought. But I remember Jack, my mentor, doing this to me one day. I had a lady in my office who was an alcoholic, and I had decided she wasn't getting out of that office till she went to treatment. I actually barricaded the door so she couldn't get out. Because I was going to fix her and straighten her out and do everything. Oh, God, I drove that poor lady nuts. There's a knock on the door. I answered the door, and it was Jack. He says, what are you doing? So I told him. He said, Vince, come here. I said, what? He always did this. He never talked out loud. He whispered in my ear. The lady wants to drink. Leave her the hell alone. I thought that was terrible. What do you mean, leave her alone? I gotta fix her. I was still in my roles. And I learned today that was one of the greatest advice Jack ever gave me that day. He said, stop it. Let her go. It's her journey, not yours, Vince. We're going to work on your journey. See, I've had some tremendously great teachers in my life. And sometimes because of that hero game and those different roles, I didn't really want to listen. But I'm glad I can listen today and I can learn today. And today I can back off. I can look at things differently today. So what I want to do over the next 4 weeks is take you through what I call the 6 stages of recovery. And they're stages. And I got to say this, and I'll talk more about them next week. But the 6 stages are 6 stages of recovery. You know, I've worked in this treatment field for a long time, and I worked in codependency work for a long time. I get people that come in and tell me they want to do inner child work. They don't know what it is, but they want to do it. And I tell them, well, I'm going to be honest with you. To truly do your inner child work, to truly do this process, it's a process. So the 6 stages are very simple. The first stage is education. Second stage is building and developing a strong, healthy support system, because growth takes place in the family system. So we need to be connected with others. The third stage is called affirmations, learning how to look at things in life positively, not negatively. To look at all things in life on a positive level. And so basically, I've learned over the years how important that is. The fourth stage is called self-parenting, how to identify your needs and how to get them met from good, healthy, positive people, how to take care of yourself as a person. The fifth stage is called family of origin work. And again, you notice it's number 5, it's not number 1. And doing family of origin work means I am now ready with my positive attitude to go back and look at my history and begin the journey of discovering it and begin the journey of healing. And finally, number 6 is the inner child. I tell people it takes a while to get to that one. You can't heal the little kid that's inside of you unless you've done the work to be able to do it. And so I'll take you through these stages. I'll show you how it works. And to me, I get excited about this because it's something that helped me tremendously. And it's something I love sharing with other people. Because I truly believe that every one of us have a tendency, we're all codependent in one way or another. It's all part of our journey. It's all part of who we are. And so we have to learn deep down inside how to go within and get to know who we are as a person. I'm going to tell you a secret. Don't tell anybody, okay? You are the most important person on the face of this earth. You are the only one there is of you. We have to learn how to honor ourselves, to celebrate who we are, and to begin to realize how special we are as a person. But to do that, the greatest investment you can make on the face of this earth is the investment in yourself. Because each and every one of us is unique. Each one of us is special. Yes, so many of us have played these roles. I'm sure we can all identify with them at one time or another. The bottom line is, what do I really want in life? I want to be able to live my life in acceptance of who I am. That's why I go back to the first 3 steps of the program. I have to share something with you. And a very good lady, who is a big part of my journey, shared this at a meeting I went to. And she said she looks at the first 3 steps in the following way. The first step is becoming aware. Becoming aware. In short, waking up. The second step is acceptance. Come to believe. And the third step is the action step. You have to put yourself into a place of letting go so you can begin the journey, the new journey of recovery. So I told her, I thanked her, and I said to her, I'm going to make a business card. Now, she did 3 A's. I'm going to call it the Recovery AAA Business Card. And basically, I'm going to carry it in my pocket. And whenever I get caught up in my craziness, I pull my insurance card out, make sure there's phone numbers on the other side, and I'll make some phone calls. Because I have to realize the fact that the three A's, awareness, acceptance, and action. It's a big, important part of life. So I thank her for giving them to me. And when I get the cards made up, I'll show them to you. But I really love the concept of we have our own AAA program. We have our own roadmap. These things are part of who we are today. And that's the key to everything we do in life. To remember that the steps will give us and send us on a journey of self-discovery and self-awareness. And that's really what it's really all about. But it takes action. And so we have to realize the fact, acceptance of who I am. These are my roles. And every once in a while I slide back in that damn hero role, and I thank God I got people who'll smack me on the head and tell me to come back out of it. I need that in my life today. So that's important. This helps you understand the roles of codependency, but also to go back and look at over these first 5 weeks, the whole kind of what codependency is and the traits and characteristics of codependency. And now what I would like to do is embark on the recovery process. And I got to warn you, I'm probably going to give you homework in this part. But don't get nervous. I know we're codependents. Get it done whenever you get it done. It's not a problem. Okay? Because I know codependents will decide they want to get it done by midnight. No, you can't do that. So keep it simple, okay? So let's kind of finish up today with a nice prayer to look within our own selves and realize the gift God has given to each and every one of us. Let us pray. God, we come before you as a family today. We come before you as people who have this tremendous, beautiful gift inside of us, the gift of your love, the gift of your strength. God, we thank you every day for the journey of our life. We thank you for the obstacles we've experienced. We thank you for helping us to work through them. We thank you for the gift of recovery, for the gift of life. We thank you, God, every day for family. We thank you, God, every day for the things in our life. We above all take a moment and thank you, God, for those people who have gone before us. All those great teachers that have been part of our life. That maybe are no longer with us physically, but they're with us spiritually. They're part of our spirit. They're part of our learning. As I look back and look at the walls of Starting Point in the lecture hall, I see all the names of people. They're very special. And the beautiful part about that is they're us. Because we have the responsibility now, God, I know you're saying it to us, to pass it on. And as you pass on who you are to another person, then whoever you are continues to live and moves forward. So God, please help me to let go of these roles. Help me to acknowledge them and accept them and know they're part of my history and my life. Help me to be open to the new discovery of who I am as a person, to be open to my personal growth, one day at a time. As the reading said today, God, help me just to live the moment, celebrate it, and know that you are my teacher, you are my lover, and you are my friend. We pray and ask this blessing in God's name. Amen. And again, thank you for being here. And now can we close just by saying the Serenity Prayer together?
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not mine, be done.